Live from CBS North Carolina's Storm Team on assignment.
We don't hope that a hurricane's not going to hit us. We prepare for it.
And now is the time to prepare with the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season underway. Good evening from Raleigh and live from the CBS North Carolina studios. I'm Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. Did you know North Carolina ranks 4th across the country for number of hurricanes to hit a state? So what's in store this season? Storm Team meteorologist Kristen Ketchel starts us out tonight with the outlook.
When we all ask ourselves, what is this hurricane season going to be like? I think what we're really asking ourselves is, am I going to get hit this year?
Seasonal hurricane forecasts are released each year by researchers at Colorado State, NC State, and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Although each differs slightly, they all call for an average to above average hurricane season.
NC State predicts 8 to 11 hurricanes, while Colorado State expects 6, and NOAA predicts a range of 4 to 8.
The reason for the increased tropical activity? The development of cooler than normal ocean temperatures along the equator in the Pacific Ocean, called La Nina.
Unfortunately, it only takes that one storm to hit your community for it to be a bad year.
Emergency managers recommend assembling a disaster supply kit with enough water, non-perishable food, and medications to last each member of your family 3 to 7 days. A first aid kit, flashlights, extra batteries, and a NOAA weather radio. And most importantly, have a plan in the event that a hurricane strikes.
If somebody right now is thinking, I've heard something about the seasonal forecast that tells me, you know what, I don't think I'm going to get a hurricane this year, that actually puts you in a position of weakness.
I'm Storm Team meteorologist Kristen Ketchel, CBS North Carolina.
North Carolina is no stranger to hurricanes. Tonight, the Storm Team is taking a look at the top 5 hurricanes to ever hit our coast. And kicking off our countdown, at number 5 is Hurricane Hugo. Hugo made landfall just north of Charleston in 1989 as a Category 4 storm. But from there, Hugo moved northward to Charlotte. Damage was reported in 29 counties across the state, and it took more than 2 weeks to fully restore power. Damage from Hugo cost about $1 billion and caused 7 deaths here in North Carolina. Luckily, Hugo's speeds diminished the amount of erosion along our coastline, but the same can't be said for every storm. Meteorologist Bill Ray is live in Wrightsville Beach tonight with that story.
Yeah, it was Wes. You know, I'm standing on Wrightsville Beach. We're on a balcony of the Silver Gull Motel right here near Johnny Mercer's Pier. You can see behind me to the left all the dunes that have been put in and all the beautiful sand. Well, this beach has been under a beach renourishment program because it erodes, and it's a success story after 50 years. And without it, this beach wouldn't be here. But other beaches and most beaches in North Carolina do suffer beach erosion. I recently went down to Ocean Isle where they've dealt with erosion problems for decades.
Grain by grain, inch by inch, parts of Ocean Isle are being consumed by the sea.
On our very eastern end, we do have a chronic erosion problem, and you've been down there and you've seen the sandbags where people have tried to protect their structures, and even sandbags where we've tried to protect the roads.
Ocean Isle is not unique. Most beaches in North Carolina have some form of erosion.
Any island in the state has a variable erosion rate along it, but on average it's a couple feet per year for most of the state.
You can really see the effects of beach erosion right here on the eastern end of Ocean Isle. This house right here with its sandbags has a 3rd Avenue address. Yeah, that's right, 3rd Avenue, because 2nd Avenue and 1st Avenue are now out in the ocean, and all those houses are gone.
It's about 75 feet out in the water now is where it is, and when it happens, it's really, it's amazing, because it's like saying, wait a minute, there's 2nd Street.
According to Don Padreberic, parts of the road can be seen at low tide. Don recently bought land on the other side of 3rd Street and doesn't want to become beachfront anytime soon.
I don't want to see anything bad happen to these folks. I'd like to see that groin go in fast enough that these people all can save their homes.
Don is referring to a project that the town has been trying to finalize for years. This project would build a barrier to trap eroding sand at the east end of the island. Otherwise, that sand will continue to erode away into the inlet. This type of erosion that occurs near inlets is the hardest to control.
The inlet erosion is by far the fastest, the most difficult to deal with, and it's 10 to 100 times faster than the other types.
So Ocean Isle stepped in to replenish most of their beaches.
In 2001, we did a major storm damage reduction, a beach renourishment project, which pulled this all out and built these frontal dunes.
Beach nourishment doesn't cure the problem, it simply treats the disease. So you add sand to the system for long-term erosion, you add bigger sand dunes for hurricane protection, and you have to plan for periodic maintenance.
Each replenishment can build 3 miles of beach in a short period of time.
When the construction starts, there are large dredges that move in and pipes get put on the beach. But once all that happens, the dredge operation may not be here but 5 or 6 weeks.
It isn't cheap, with the average cost around $8 million. So has anyone complained about the cost?
The only complaint I've ever had was right after construction when I had a homeowner complain it was too far to walk to the beach.
That's something that Don Podreberic won't complain about.
Get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and look out at this beautiful ocean. I mean, it's what everybody always talks about wanting to have.
Right, and you know that down at that east end of Ocean Isle, they've lost portions of 6 blocks. Dozens of homes had been moved, and even 2 homes virtually just fell into the sea. So they're hoping to get that problem solved down there. Wes?
All right, Bill, we'll check back in with you in just a minute. As you know, another area often hard hit by hurricanes, Highway 12 in the Outer Banks. The road is often washed out. Now federal officials have given North Carolina approval to build a 2-mile bridge that will extend from Pea Island over the Pamlico Sound into Rodanthe. And from the roads to our homes, preparation is key. Storm Team meteorologist Alyssa Corfont went down to South Carolina to the Institute for Business and Home Safety's Disaster Research Center.
We've been talking a lot about storm preparedness, and with that comes a lot of questions about your own home or business. To get those answers, we traveled to the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety.
The reason this place exists is because we have to figure out what Mother Nature is doing. And sometimes we have to do that at full scale.
And to do this, the Institute regularly builds and destroys homes to test them against some of Mother Nature's strongest weapons: wind, rain, hail, and wildfires.
So the winds that we produce here are typical of the winds that you're going to see on the coast, on the interior, everywhere across the state. What you need to do is make sure that your building is well maintained.
Something you can do today before the next storm hits.
To check the maintenance of your home, check the fences, check the roof, look at the trees in your yard. Just be ready and have a good plan. You can do that without spending $1.
From designing hail cannons to simulating winds that you would feel in a hurricane or just your garden variety thunderstorm, this facility is dedicated to bettering products that will keep your home and business safe and to keep your community up and running during any severe weather.
Strong and effective building codes can really do a lot of good for the community, because each time you don't have a claim, that's a person or a business that's right back at work the next day after Mother Nature comes calling. No interruption.
IBHS is an incredible resource that you can access online. To do so, we've posted a link on our website, WNCN.com. In South Carolina, I'm CBS North Carolina Storm Team meteorologist Alyssa Corfont.
All right, Alyssa, thank you. And getting back to our hurricane countdown, coming in at number 4. Hurricane Donna. Donna took aim at Topsail Island in 1960. Donna's destructive journey covered Carteret, Pamlico, Hyde, Tyrrell counties. The Category 3 hurricane is blamed for 8 deaths and more than 100 injuries and $25 million worth of damage in North Carolina. And when a hurricane like Donna barrels toward our coast, pilots with NOAA head to the storm to keep us informed. Storm Team meteorologist Kristen Ketchel went down to Texas for a tour of the planes and a look at how it all works.
Meteorologists use a variety of tools when it comes to forecasting hurricanes, but 2 of the most important may be these aircraft, which fly into and around each developing storm.
They fly into everything from a system trying to become the next tropical depression all the way up to Category 5 hurricanes.
Their missions are dangerous.
We're looking at each other sometimes thinking, are we going to get through this?
But their job is essential to forecasting hurricanes.
The C-130 that is behind me is the plane that actually flies right into the storm.
The data is gathered by a special instrument called a drop wind sonde.
It's very advanced. It collects barometric pressure, temperature, humidity, and then based on the GPS and its displacement as it falls in the storm, it can calculate wind speed and wind direction as well.
Although satellite technology has improved, these two aircraft remain a vital piece in forecasting intensity and tracks of hurricanes.
If we don't have the aircraft, we have to estimate how strong the winds are from satellite. But we have the aircraft that can fly right into the storm and tell us how strong the storm is, exactly where it's located, and also how big the storm is. It really helps us in our forecasting. If we can get that information right, we can make a better forecast.
When we're in the last 2 to 3 days before potential landfall, then we're going to be flying everything all the time. We're going to be having the Air Force planes going continuously into the center of the hurricanes. We're going to fly the G4 jet twice a day on its 12-hour missions.
And every new storm poses a unique challenge for the crews on these aircraft.
Category 3 or better, you got to be prepared to at any given moment that we're going to experience turbulence in the eye walls of the storm. It gets really rough at that time.
But that still doesn't stop these brave men and women from risking their lives to collect life-saving weather data.
I have great satisfaction in going out there in harm's way, knowing I'm helping saving people by improving the forecast, because every time we fly, we're answering 2 questions. Number 1, where's the hurricane going to go? And number 2, how bad is it going to be?
And these are just some of the tools being used to keep you and your family safe this hurricane season. In Galveston, Texas, I'm Storm Team meteorologist Kristen Ketchel, CBS North Carolina.
All right, Kristen, those hurricane hunters actually might be here in North Carolina next summer, so watch out for that. You know, it's been 20 years since Hurricane Fran slammed into North Carolina.
We used to think of hurricane planning as that was an Eastern Branch coastal thing, but Fran opened our eyes.
Coming up, the lessons learned and why the damage could be so much worse today if a similar storm comes our way. Plus,
Rip currents, they can occur any day. There are waves in the ocean. Find out how to spot one before your next summer vacation. Coming up.
and later shark attacks along our coast, the trend researchers are seeing, and the most common sharks you'll find in our waters. And welcome back to our special CBS North Carolina Storm Team on assignment. You know, every week here on CBS North Carolina, we bring you a segment called What's Next, showing you the newest things being developed for the whole world, usually right here in the Triangle. Well, tonight, we go to Miami for What's Next in hurricane forecasting and its unmanned drones.
It was pitch black, and the plane's bouncing around, shaking. All I see is a radar image of rain bands and eye walls, and I just remember thinking, what am I doing here?
Navy pilot and NOAA officer Justin Kibbe has a pretty exciting job flying the P-3 Hurricane Hunter, but it's in the back of the plane where the new science is being developed.
It's a very unique instrument that we launched from the plane. It was flown from the plane, and we were able to fly with that drone for almost an hour, gathering valuable data.
Raytheon originally developed the Coyote drone for military surveillance, but now equipped with various sensors and a GPS device, it's used to send real-time data to NOAA's Hurricane Research Division.
The drone is great because what it can do, it can go down to the low levels of the storm, just off the surface, just in that air-sea interaction zone where there's lots of valuable data. Now, to put a plane in that zone would be very dangerous.
And here's how it works.
As this falls out of the aircraft, its wings will open up at a predetermined altitude. It's dropping straight down, and then the wings will open up. And as it's able to get some wind over its wings, the engine will turn on, and it will eventually start to fly.
Currently, the drones are in a testing phase, but NOAA hopes to have them fully operational and integrated in the next few years.
Improving that forecast track and that intensity is very important. These instruments, they may be expensive, but they're a lot cheaper than it is to actually go through the process of getting people evacuated out of an area and keeping them out of harm's way.
As for the cost for each drone, $25,000, and their missions are one and done, meaning the drones are not recovered from the ocean. All right, back to our countdown. And number 3, Hurricane Hazel. Hazel made landfall at the South Carolina-North Carolina border as a Category 4 storm in 1954. The path of destruction spread over 2,000 miles. Hazel passed over Raleigh and up through Virginia northward, causing about $136 million in damage and 19 deaths here in North Carolina. You know, a common danger at the beach, rip currents. They're one of the first signs of an approaching hurricane, but they can occur on any day and almost any beach with breaking waves. CBS Storm Team meteorologist Alyssa Corfont has more on what to look for before you hit the water.
There's a really good rip right here south of Stand 7.
Rip currents are the only threat that I think about on Wrightsville Beach on a daily basis. They are the only one. They're definitely the biggest threat. Ocean Rescue 81 from Ocean Rescue Central.
That's right. It's not sharks or stingrays lurking beneath the waves that John Monty worries about.
A lot of people worry about a lot of other things. Rip currents are what is going to harm people. Go ahead, 81.
He's a veteran lifeguard in his 13th season with Wrightsville Beach Ocean Rescue.
82 copies are being routed this time. Thank you.
He patrols the 4.5-mile stretch that makes up Wrightsville Beach nearly every day. And when it comes to rip currents,
when a rip is pushing back out,
he's the one to go to.
When you're looking up and down the beach, anywhere you do not see waves is a good spot for there to be a rip current. If you see waves on each side and a channel in the middle that does not have waves, that's probably where the rip current is going to occur.
That channel can appear darker in color, or if the rip current is strong enough, it will turn a tan color because it's picking up sand from the ocean floor. It's this dangerous current of water that, if it's strong enough, can move up to 5 miles per hour, which is faster than an Olympic swimmer.
Since 2000, in the Carolinas, we've had 105 rip current related fatalities, and that's more than any other weather hazard in the Carolinas. Certainly, lightning, tornadoes can cause injuries and cause fatalities, but when you look at the overall numbers, the Carolinas, rip currents are our biggest threat.
Rip currents can occur on any day there's wave action, just like this. Now, speaking with lifeguards, they'll say they do the most rescues on children, but the demographic hit hardest from rip current fatalities may surprise you.
Since 2000, the rip current fatalities that have occurred are mainly males between 31 to 50.
So what happens if you get caught in one?
We can swim out of one, but we can't outswim one because they're that powerful. They're like a treadmill in the ocean, and if you don't know how to get off that treadmill, you get yourself in a dangerous situation real quick.
As soon as you realize you're out swimming, you're not making headway towards land, you're possibly in a rip current, you need to stay calm. If you have any sort of flotation device with you, you stay on the flotation device.
Monty says you should try to swim parallel to the beach until you are out of the rip current and can swim towards the shore. If possible, signal for help, and someone should call 911 immediately.
When you're helping people, you know, you get to help people on the worst day of their life and try to make it a little bit better.
Thank you, Alyssa. Back to our count. 2.
Lord,
Hurricane Fran.
I lost everything but pictures of my children on the wall.
With an eye that stretched 25 miles wide, Fran made landfall as a Category 3 storm near Bald Head Island in Brunswick County. Fran dropped nearly 9 inches of rain on the capital city. Damages topped $5 billion and 37 people died, 24 in our state. Wow. You know, this September will be 20 years since Fran slammed into North Carolina. Here's that track again. I sat down with North Carolina Deputy Director of Emergency Management to talk about how bad it was back then. See, he was working just to the left of the eye in Caswell County when Fran hit. And I ask him now how much worse it could be if something like that ever happened again here.
Power lines down, the telephone poles snapped off. Just the amount of trees and the debris. That's the big thing, and power out for so long, waiting on restoration.
Hurricane Fran slammed into the North Carolina coast on September 5th, 1996.
Inland, this is what you can expect to see. Large trees on houses, large trees on cars. You know, a lot of our deaths, especially inland, over half of them were from fallen trees.
Fran killed 24 people when the population of North Carolina was about 7 million. Now the state has more than 10 million people. So what would happen if another Fran came back?
A lot of the devastation that was woodland back in 1996 are now new subdivisions.
But people and houses wouldn't be the only problem.
Fran caused maybe $700 million worth of agriculture damage. I expect that number would be much larger today with the large commercial farms that we have that's in that path. you know, it would take us a while to recover.
And it would impact the entire country. Agriculture is North Carolina's largest industry. We are second in the country in hog production, third in turkey production. The state also yields more than half the sweet potatoes and tobacco crop for the entire country.
We used to think of hurricane planning as that was an eastern branch coastal thing. We didn't really think about it in the central part or even the western part of our state like we do now. You know, but Fran opened our eyes.
But the technology advancements along with that experience will make dealing with our next storm that much easier.
Now we're connected with our counties through a crisis management tool, a web-based NC Sparta, our web EOC application, to where counties instantaneously input data and I see it.
And Joe's best advice and words he lives by when preparing for this year's season?
We never say never. And hope is not a course of action. We don't hope that a hurricane's not going to hit us, we prepare for it.
20 years, and you know, Fran was retired the following year from the hurricane name list, so we will never hear that name again in the future. And one of the people who is happy about that, meteorologist Bill Ray, and Bill joins us live again from the coast. Bill, the eye of Fran came right over your neighborhood, right?
Well, it was really interesting because we were vacationing at Sunset Beach, a little further down from Wrightsville Beach, and we got evacuated, so we headed home. Well, as you know, the storm came pretty close here to Wrightsville Beach, and then when I was driving into work, I heard a report from the National Hurricane Center that said the center of Fran is about 20 miles northwest of Raleigh, and I said, my gosh, it's Durham where I am. So the storm basically came right over us. We would have been safer staying at the beach, but boy, I tell you, you flash right back to the power outages, the lack of electricity, trying to save your food, also all the trees, as you mentioned in your report, that were down, and of course, that trying to get a bag of ice. I remember when they announced that there were bags of ice available, everybody shot for that. So boy, that is something we will never, never forget in the Triangle, and let's hope we never have to experience for some time to come. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about the ocean and the fear of sharks.
I'm still like hesitant to go out in the water.
Why?
Because I don't want to get bit by a shark.
Welcome back to CBS North Carolina Storm Team on assignment as we get you ready for the upcoming hurricane season. You know, the North Carolina coast is a popular migration corridor for marine life, and that includes sharks. Storm Team meteorologist Bill Ray back with us again from Wrightsville Beach with more on the types of sharks that are most common in our area. Bill.
Yeah, you know, and I'm out in the water now talking about how warm it feels, and we've had warmer ocean waters. You know, if we have actually climate change and global warming, we were curious about if these ocean waters would be one of the reasons, warmer waters, one of the reasons why we had more shark attacks last year. Well, recently, as I got wet, I just went down to Beaufort to find out, and here's that report.
There's a girl in Hanson bitten off by a shark.
Last year, North Carolina had a record number of shark attacks with 8. So is that still on the minds of beachgoers?
I'm still like hesitant to go out in the water.
Why?
Because I don't want to get bit by a shark.
Even though last year's attacks were up for North Carolina, the total number of attacks from coast to coast was not.
There's not a significant trend of increasing or decreasing shark attacks in the U.S. and certainly not in North Carolina. In our state, we average about 1 or 2 shark attacks a year.
Oh, a shark out there. Attack this man right here. Oh my goodness.
So last year was high, but why? One theory has to do with the weather and the warm late spring we had.
If it gets warmer earlier in the year, it may cause sharks to move up the coast at a different time than normal. As much as anything, the warming may drive changes in people's behavior.
More people at the beach swimming means more chances for a shark encounter. The UNC Department of Marine Sciences has been studying sharks for 40 years to help answer these questions.
Over the last 30 years, this actual boat, the Capricorn, has gone out twice a week during shark season for their shark survey. That line up there is what they use. It goes out a mile. It has 100 hooks on it, and they estimate that over the years they've caught over 7,000 sharks.
There's a pretty clear trend showing that the larger predatory sharks that most people associate with shark attacks are not showing up up as frequently.
North Carolina's coast is a major migration corridor for marine life. There are roughly 50 species of sharks off our coast. The most common, though, are the smaller ones.
Those size sharks are fairly abundant. And anytime you're in the water, there's probably one of those smaller animals somewhere within a football field or two of you at some point while you're swimming.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing when I heard that fact that somewhere out there within about a couple hundred yards, some of those small sharks are out there. I asked Dr. Fadre if he would give a prediction. Do they predict the season ahead? And he said the science just isn't there yet to make any kind of shark predictions. So just take heed when you head out in the water, and hopefully you'll be safe. Wes?
All right, Bill, I know many of us will be there. Thank you for that. And
This is the worst I've ever seen. It's pretty bad. It's over waist deep right now. Just couch floating, chairs floating, everything floating around.
We ain't got nothing. We had to leave home with the clothes we had on. Our car flooded, everything gone.
And coming in at number 1 for the worst storm on record to hit North Carolina, Hurricane Floyd. Floyd hit the coast in 1999, but its impact inland was devastating. The storm caused record floods for more than half the state. Parts of Rocky Mount, Tarboro, and Princeville were underwater for days. Thousands of people in more than a dozen counties were trapped in their homes by rising water. In all, Hurricane Floyd caused 52 deaths in our state. Well, that is it for our special tonight. Everything we talked about today you can find online right now at WNCN.com. I'll see you tonight at 11.